This is why I believe your mom stole you guys, kept you guys. This was her lawyer attempt to modify the child support, and then her reasoning. Let's go to number 2, and basically it explains, you know, this is me, that's her, uh, explaining kind of the story. When I married Richard, year and after is Tony, October 19th, 2003. He needed someone to help raise his 3 children from an ex-wife. And it doesn't say she loved me or anything. Or she was happy to be with me. Let's go to the second part of that. Talking about you boys, we became parents. I enjoyed being a mother. Tony worked hard so I could stay at home, primarily parents. As a primary parent of our boys, I did all the housework for the entire duration of our marriage, as Tony was a financial provider. However, after 12 years, our marriage suddenly fell apart, due in large part to his pattern of emotional and financial abuse. She said that's why the marriage fell apart. Detailed more fully below. We finalized our dissolution in July 19th, 2016, although I think it was March. During the marriage, I was dealing with an elusive illness that caused me to suffer from fatigue, headaches, occasional vomiting, skin rashes, intestinal bloating, and constipation. Stress caused me to experience flare-up days where I had to lie down in a dark room for about 24 hours until I vomited. My husband could not understand what was happening to me and did not show any compassion. He belittled me and likened my skin to the condition to a drug addict. In hindsight, I see a pattern of financial and emotional abuse throughout our marriage. Tony did not discuss finances with me. He bought a Corvette without my input or discussion, and also once gave a Toyota 4Runner to a waitress after hearing her hard luck story. We never had a joint checking account or savings account. He pressured me to use my store credit account, Les Schwab, to get tires for his work van. And actually, those tires were for her Jeep. She went in to get 1 tire and came home with 4 new tires charged on her account. Anyway, then did not pay the bill. He kept a safe of money and did not give me the code. I did not ask for it because I trusted him to provide for us. The safe was for the titles of all the vehicles and important paperwork. I never had any money of my own to save. And so she said that, but then the next sentence is Tony's frustration with my illness grew. He stopped giving me money. So which one is it? She never had any money, or I stopped giving her money for even basic necessities such as vehicle gas. I was working as a house cleaner while the boys were in school, but suffering probably 5 flare-up days a month. I was forced to quit my physical, demanding part-time housekeeping job. He yelled at me and used a lot of angry sarcasm. Ultimately, Tony met a woman online and moved her and her children onto our property into a converted barn. So she makes it sound like we were married and all that happened. But that is not what happened. It was a humiliating situation for me and confusing one for our boys. He told me I could live in our home and made himself the landlord. When we initiated our divorce, I had no experience with such a proceeding and I did not receive any legal counsel whatsoever. In contrast, Tony went online and learned how he could divorce a stay-at-home, non-working mother of 12 years and avoid child support and alimony. Okay, there again, she was working. When we get divorced, she was working and making money. Otherwise, they wouldn't have computed no child support. He told me we could have shared custody and that there is no child support for shared custody. He assured me I could stay in the home However, I was soon unable to pay Tony rent. After verbal taunts and breaking in the back door, he evicted the children and I from our home. With no savings and no income, I was forced to move in with the elderly parents. She fails to mention the fact that I had to give her $43,000. My husband's 49, old and hardworking, capable man who started his own painting company and as well as built several houses. He is manipulative and has historically hid and lied about money. Thus, I do not know how much income he actually earns. As an example, he often does cash jobs that do not get reported to the IRS. He used Money Tree to cash checks instead of banks, more readily traceable. Yeah, that's not true because I was working for Dave, Drywall Dave, who wrote check for everything, and he was the only one I worked for. For this instant action, I imputed Tony's income as to his age and gender at 4,200. However, he should disclose all his financial information as required by statute to include his personal and business bank statements and all Money Tree transactions. I'm 51 years old, and temporarily work through Express Temp, working a few days a month when I can. Due to a religious conviction and pandemic, Tony and I are agreeing to have me homeschool our boys this year. Although I have a bachelor's degree, only load jobs on the off weeks. When the children are not with me, I receive food stamps because I earn modest wages. Our children are on Molina Healthcare through the state. My gross income for 2 weeks for the past 2 years were $11,000 in 2018 and $2,600 in 2019. Although she doesn't put the money for the equity in there. Consequently, for the purpose of child support calculation, my income was imputed using historical past earnings. Minimum wage, Kitsap County, which is $12 per hour, calculated at full time to be. And that's because she could be working, and that's what she should be making. Based on the above, child support transfer payment is $1,086. Start date requesting September 1st. Financial credits as it would leave insufficient funds for my household. For nearly the last 4 years, I have been forced to live at my parents' home. That's not true. She didn't live there for 4 years. It has been financially convenient for Richard, but very hard on me and our two teenagers. We need to have a place to call our own, with our own personal space and belongings. As I currently receive zero child support, I am unable to afford even modest rent, to purchase a mobile home. I am on food stamps and state assistance. The money I have used for this legal action is from what little I have managed to save. So technically, she's lying. She had $43,000 given to her, and she never mentioned it once. Tony lives in a former community property with 3.4 and 2 living dwellings on Glenwood. There's not 2 living dwellings. I was illegally living in the barn. He has taken his new family on trips, which include restaurants, hotels, and souvenirs. He is able to buy our children clothes, shoes, which I am thankful for, but unable to afford myself. Yeah. So my response. Here was my response. Section 12. Would like a mental evaluation, physical evaluation, Mary, per line 9 through 15, line 1 through 2, page 3 of her declaration. She has been suffering from what she called a condition. She claims to have worms, but during our relationship, I and her mother and her father have taken her to see approximately 8 different doctors, which all found nothing. She has bought numerous concoctions to heal her condition, from worm killer to vitamins to electronic devices. She also stated that she will never be fully rid of the worms. Both boys have allergies, And anytime they have a sniffle, she says they have what she has, and she tends to pick at Ethan's skin. Once again, as for her being kicked out, all she had to do was pay $300 a month for a $1,500 a month house. Not my fault she didn't pay her rent and got evicted. On the advice of Cliff, no less. Section 20 through 24, page 3. I have done work about 7 to 15 years trading work with contractor friends, so I could put our property together, septic install, mobile home install. Since we have been divorced, I have a shared account with my wife at U.S. Bank. That was talking about Amy. I also do nothing but work for a drywall contractor who pays with checks. So this claim is false. I never had a shared account with her because she spent like a drunken sailor, and her personal accounts were always getting overdrawn. As for child support, at the time we originally did a divorce, she was working full time, and I was still am today a seasonal worker, spring and summer, as as the rain keeps me from painting. So I have to budget my money for the whole year. I've included the tax records for the last year. I have the boys half the time, 50-50. She is basing her figure as if she has them full time. I pay for all their clothes, books, late fees at school, basically everything. She gets food stamps from the state for both boys, but has them half the time. As for homeschooling, it is fine for now due to a pandemic, but I would like to see them go back to school after the pandemic is over. Line 6 through 17, page 4, declaration. Line 21-22, page 4, she can't claim what I pay out in hard costs to run a business as my income. She is also capable of working. She seems to quit jobs after about 4 months. Not my fault for her housing. I gave her close to $45,000 over the last 4 years for equity in property. H, line 7 to 10, page 5. As for my family vacations, 3 in the last year and a half. My wife's mom got an inheritance and she paid for the majority of the trips. I paid for food. I also need to add over the last year and a half, we have borrowed about $19,000 from Amy's mom to live on. Attaching letter with her confirmation signature to these facts. Bottom line is she needs to be working full time and take the $45,000 I gave her and put it down on a place. I also believe that the boys would be better off with me every week and she can visit on the weekends. I would like her to go get a mental and physical evaluation. I have no problem raising our boys full time. And I believe that this rebuttal of her trying to get child support is what caused her to borrow the money from Cliff and just run to Texas and hide. So that's kind of where we're at. So, and this was let's see here, the fact that she didn't want to sign for me so I could get a loan, but that I paid her in full. At the time, it was $37,000, but I gave her $43,000, which was cash, and I guess the court backed out some money too. So, anyway, boys, I hope you look at this with an open mind, and I just want you to know I love you, and I know it's messy, but you guys really gotta know that I didn't leave you guys, but I love you, and I hope you guys will come see me and talk to me soon. Talk to you soon. I love you. Bye bye.